So good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You know, I'm sitting in the very comfy theater chair back there, and I'm realizing how excited I am to be in this room, not because of the room, but because of you guys. I think you might be some of the smartest business people walking the earth. Why do I think that? Because you're in business with the right leaders. And so I'm just impressed by you all. So I just like to be with you. I think we should all go have lunch or something. Yes. Okay, so I think they're turning the lights on for me, yes?
That's as bright as they go.
Okay, we should have cocktails then. Okay, again, my name's Jackie Ellis. I'm from the Palm Beach County area, Boca Raton and Boynton Beach, and I've been in business. That's why everybody thinks I'm so old, because I have been in business probably longer than most of you are alive. And this market that we're in right now is the market that I love to work in. In fact, I don't have a team right now, but it's very hard for me not to get back into it because this is the market where we can excel. Why? Sellers are going to listen to us. They're a little more vulnerable now. They're going to listen to us, and guess what? They're going to pay for us. That market that we came out of, where you had to, I think somebody up here said, give your kids away, give your car away, that's gone. You can get what you deserve now, and it's exciting. However, if you are going to receive the income that you deserve, you're going to probably have to make some tweaks in your business and put some systems in place. And that's what I just want to share with you today. I just want to talk with you. Normally, I have PowerPoints that back me up and keep me on track. And to be honest, I have none of that. And Scott, you're watching my time, so you'll tell me when I've talked too much. Fair? Okay.
You have 45 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let me slow down. No. So what do I mean? Okay, first of all, at your presentations, at the listing or buyer presentation, you're going to have to probably start with explaining some expectations, what they can expect and what they can expect from you. So in other words, I want them to know that I've done this so often and I'm so successful at it that I have a system that's going to really work for you. In fact, I'm going to call you Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, every Tuesday morning, and I'm going to give you an update as to what happened over the last week of marketing. I always feel if a seller has to reach out to me to say, hey, I had a showing, you've all had this call, and I really think they liked it, where am I at with that? If they call me, then I've failed them. I want to be proactive with my customers and clients, not reactive. So proactively, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to call you every single Tuesday, and I'm going to give you an update on what's happening in your neighborhood, where you are positioned in the market, whether I have any recommendations for you. And I'm going to try my hardest to get you feedback from the showings that you had over the last week. However, I want to set an expectation on that because I want you to know the life of a real estate agent who's showing property on the weekends. For instance, they may go show 6 homes on a Saturday, and then Sunday they may show 2 more. So Monday, they have at least 8 agents calling them saying, well, what'd your buyers think? What'd your buyers think? And after this long weekend of showing 8 homes, that's only 1 buyer. I might have worked with 2. So that could double. I can't remember which is which. And so feedback, and by the way, I'm not calling 16 realtors on Monday morning to give them feedback. So chances are I'm not going to get you feedback, but here's the best feedback I can get you. If we're doing everything right, we'll have offers to talk about on Monday. If we don't, then that's what we're going to talk about on Tuesday. NAR came out with a statistic years ago that said if your property's on the market for 11 days or 11 showings and you don't have an acceptable offer, then what? What is that telling you? You're priced a little on the high side. Now, I'd like you to write what I just said down, a little on the high side, because words matter. If I tell a seller you're overpriced, you're priced too high, we need to adjust your price, we need to reduce your price, that's offensive to a seller. If you say you're priced a little on the high side, it's easier to take in. So 11 days or 11 showings, if we don't have an acceptable offer, chances are we're priced a little on the high side. Sounds better, yes? Yeah. Some tweaks in your business, some skills that you add will increase your income. And you will be the one standing at the end of all of this. You already are. Okay. So setting expectations at the presentation is really important. And I kind of do that after they sign. I'm so glad we're going to be in business now. Let me share with you how this is going to work. You're never going to have to call me. I'm going to call you every Tuesday morning. Now, what must you do on Tuesday mornings? If you don't, you've messed it up. And you can now, because customers and clients today want to be very interactive, you can say, how would you like me to communicate? Would you like me to call you, text you, email you? How would you like that? That's something we didn't do 10 years ago. We just told them what we were going to do. Now I'm going to give them a choice. If there's more than one seller, who would you like me to communicate with? If they say both, then what do I say? Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so now I've set the expectation on communication. I want to set one more expectation before I get into a system. The expectation that I want to now go over is on the showings themselves. Because I don't know if you know, on behalf of a seller, how awkward a showing can be. And how messed up a realtor can do. And it's not the real estate agent's fault. I love to blame the other agent, especially if they're with a blue company. It's my favorite thing to do, internally. But it's not their fault, because you have to realize there's a lot going on in a showing. I want to turn the lights on. I want to open the sliding glass doors. If there's an alarm, forget it. I don't show property today because of alarms. I just don't know how to do them. And so it can be, there's cats that are going to run out or dogs that are barking. It's just hectic. I once listed a property with a bird that imitated an alarm system perfectly. Perfectly. So every time we'd go show the house, it'd be wee, wee, wee. So it can be awkward. So it's very easy for a real estate agent to leave a light on, leave the fan on, even leave a sliding glass door unlocked. So I want the sellers to know up front that when you go to show your property, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, whoever we're working with, when you leave your house, it's going to be beautifully perfect in the morning. You won't have any dishes in the sink. You will have made all the beds and everything's going to show great, and we will not be here. When your house is perfect, we're not coming. In fact, we may even tell you that we're coming between 3 and 4, but we're not showing up. Now, the next day when you had to run out of the house and you have cereal dishes in the sink and the kids put toothpaste all over the mirror, we're going to come 4 times. So I just want them to know there's going to be bumps, because I don't really want the surprise call, hey, so-and-so was just here and they left my sliding glass door open. I'd like them to say, oh, Jackie actually reminded this might happen. Setting expectations is super important and will smooth your relationship over with your client. So we need to set a few expectations. One is on how we're going to communicate. Another is what the showings are going to be bumpy. And the third one is pricing. Now, we are never going to ask a seller to reduce their price. Raise your right hand. I will never ask a seller to reduce their price. They don't want to reduce their price. Don't ask them. However, you can ask them to do a slight adjustment, a price improvement, reposition in the marketplace, however else you want to word it. Now, if I'm working with a buyer, by the way, do I call the buyer and say, oh, I just want to let you know the seller over at 123 Strawberry Lane just slightly adjusted their price? No. How would I want to say that? It's reduced. It's reduced. We got to run. So it's different how you're going to talk to different people. And so remember, I also told the seller that we're going to be watching them because it's 11 days or 11 showings, and I'm going to track that for you. Now, I'm never going to come over and hit the seller over the head with asking them to adjust their price. I have to work up to that a little bit. So I have to earn the right to ask. How am I going to do that? Well, today's society is very high tech. We've already talked about AI up here and ChatGPT, and I know my talent for writing advertising descriptions is no longer sought after. I want to thank AI for that because it is better than I ever was, and I really don't like that. However, we're very high tech now, right? In fact, we barely even talk to some of our clients. We just send paperwork electronically. We have contracts signed electronically. We communicate electronically. There's lot less face-to-face. Richard, you keep talking about how old I am. Thank you for that. We used to, when a contract came in, the sellers or buyers would come into our office and sit down for 45 minutes, and we'd go over it.
Or we'd go to their home.
On signing a contract, I always wanted, if listings, yes, but once a contract came in, I wanted them to come to me because I wanted the power, you know? My conference room is so powerful. So, however, we don't do that anymore. By the way, contracts fall apart a lot easier because we don't do that, but that's another class and another discussion. So what am I getting at? High tech, every time you do something high tech, you must follow it up with high touch. That's the part that most of us don't know anymore. What does high touch mean when servicing a seller? Well, I'm going to go back to some very old-fashioned high touch ideas for you. And I'm hoping that you adopt one or two or three of them. So the first one is the old-fashioned communication journal. Have you ever heard of this? So you're going to go to Office Depot or wherever and get the little 1-inch notebooks. Do you see how high touch and less tech this is? We're talking those notebooks. Not those kind of notebooks. You know the ones that, remember in high school, which was what, last year? You would get the notebook and you would put the paper in the sleeve at the top, you know, the cover. And then you'd open it up and it'd have folders inside and 3-ring. Like a 3-ring notebook is what the words I'm coming up with. All right. So it's a binder, thank you. So it's a communication journal, and that's what my cover page says. This is a communication journal, and every time we communicate, we're going to send you something in the mail that's 3-hole punch so that you can put it in your journal. Now, this is a very old-fashioned idea that we haven't done in years, but I'm sharing with you, you better start doing it. Because now, the first thing I'm going to do, by the way, when you take a listing, what's the first thing you should do? What's number one? Who said that? Tara, what'd you say?
Send them a copy.
You have to send them a copy. Email, I don't know, run it back to the house, have a copy machine in your car. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you do not have a listing until that's done. And before you send it, make sure all the dates are filled in and all of that. But so you're going to send them a copy. That's the first thing. Now I'm going to do my communication journal, and I'm going to. Anybody here know how to print out a letter? Do you know how to print? Yes. So you're going to actually print out a letter. This is just an idea that says, "Hey, I want to thank you so much for trusting us with the sale of your home. In this binder, you will find, once again, copies of everything that you signed. Everything is 3-hole punched, and everything we communicate with you from now on will arrive at your house 3-hole punched. Please place it in your binder." The next week, I might send them some showing tips. I might send them, "Hey, you're in multiple listing and you look wonderful." I'm going to put a smart plan together so that every 3 or 4 days they are receiving something in the mail. By the way, we talked about the first thing you do when you take a listing is send them copies. What's the second thing you do? You write them a personal note. They are so powerful. And it's a part of an experience that we can now provide rather than just service. People don't want to be serviced anymore. They want an experience. So write a personal note. Do not get complicated on this. It's very simple. "John and Sheila, thank you for trusting me with the sale of your property. I will not let you down. Signed, Jackie." That's it. Some people write it in the card. Third thing I do is take a picture of the outside of the house. For this, I do not care if there's cars in the driveway because there's only one thing I'm going to do with this photo, and that's upload it to my Facebook group with the offices so that all my fellow agents can also see what I've just listed. Okay, am I making sense to anyone? Yes. All right, so now we're going to start servicing them and providing an experience, which is every time I do something, I'm going to let them know. We assume that people know what we're doing behind the scenes. And I make a big deal of it. Oh, John, Sheila, I wanted to let you know that the photographer sent back the photos from our photo shoot. I have helped them edit them. We've done some shading. We've placed them on multiple listing and on some of our websites, and I want you to know you look fantastic. I especially love the one of the pool. Now, I'm going to also call them, hey, I just wanted you to know you are up, running, live in the multiple listing system. You look fantastic. I can't wait to see who sees it out there. Everything I do, I'm going to let them know. I'm going to let them know by a phone call, and every time I have a phone call, I'm going to either send a personal note or something for their journal. Now, if you do this, because you know we all have a honeymoon period when we list a property, don't we? And then how long does the honeymoon last? About 10 days, 2 weeks at the top. Mostly it's all weekends. And so if you list a property and 2 to 3 weekends goes by and they haven't had a lot of activity or offers, you know the honeymoon's over. And whose fault is it? Well, it is ours because we didn't let them know everything we're doing. Hey, we had a team meeting today in the office, and we all got together at the Gateway Theater somewhere in Fort Lauderdale. And I was able to talk to a couple of my agents that haven't seen in a while and told them about your listing. So hopefully we'll get some showings. I am going to earn the right to have a conversation I might have to get the listing sold very quickly. Most of the agents out there, not us, not the KW agents, but most of agents are afraid to go back to the seller and say, hey, we might be priced a little on the high side, because then the seller's going to think we didn't know what we were doing when we listed the property. I want you to know that if you were a doctor and you had that mentality, like I told you at once that you were perfectly good, and now a month later I've got another test result and your blood work showed something else. But I don't want to go back to my patient and tell him that because he might think I'm wrong. That's how we're acting out there. Yeah. Be a professional. I always say, time to put my big girl panties on and make some phone calls. And sometimes you have to really psych yourself up for it. All right, now, 11 days, 11 showings, nothing's happened. Yes?
It's either or, right? 11 days or...
Whatever happens first.
Right.
Yeah. Good question. Whatever happens first. And you can't pull this out without laying that expectation at the listing presentation. Now, by the time I've noticed that they're not selling, I know that I might have to come in for a price adjustment. And so, but rather than take a baseball bat from behind my desk and hit him over the head, I'm going to use a strategy called plant the seed. Plant the seed. And what I mean by that is on my Tuesday calls, I might say, you know, we didn't have any showings over the weekend, and so I'm really watching you because you're a priority to me. And I'd like to get you under contract way before the next 30 days. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on you over the weekend to see what is or isn't happening. And the next week on our call, might have to come in with some recommendations. So I planted the seed that we're going to watch you over the weekend. I always let them know they're a priority to me. And by the way, are they? Yes. Yeah, don't list it if they're not. If they're wacko, or the house is wacko, or the German shepherds are running all over you, get out. All right, so now I'm going to say, Mr. John, Sheila, I don't know who Sheila is, by the way, but that's my new people, John and Sheila. John and Sheila, I'd like to plant the seed. I need to talk to you a little bit. I want you to know how important you are to me. You're a priority. I'm a little concerned with the lack of activity, but I want to keep a close eye on you this weekend and see exactly what happens. And then next week we'll reconvene and see if we need another plan. And if they say, well, sure, Jackie, but not a price, I'm not touching the price. Oh, totally get it, totally get it. Let's just keep a close eye on you. Now, next Monday, I don't wait till Tuesday if I plant the seed. I'm going to call them Monday. I'm going to see what happened or what didn't happen. And I'm going to let them know, I didn't want to wait till tomorrow to call you. I am really concerned that we once again didn't have any offers. So I'm going to make a suggestion. You might be priced a little on the high side, and I'd like us to adjust it. Whenever you ask for a price adjustment of any kind, you have to understand that sellers think logically, not emotionally. And they always want to know what their bottom line will be before they can decide. Because it's never about the money. Everybody thinks sellers want to get top dollar. What they want to do is take the money and do something. Move whatever it is. That's what's important to them, not the money, what the money can do. So I want them to know what money we're talking about. So I might say, we're priced at $425,000 right now. I'm going to suggest that we go down to the next level at $400,000. And after I've calculated your doc stamps and your sellers don't pay title insurance, but whatever else, and we pay off your mortgage, you will be walking away with about $75,000. Does that make financial sense to you? Now, I didn't ask them for a price adjustment or a reduction. I'm asking, does this bottom line make financial sense? Not great financial sense, because just know it's not going to make great financial sense, but it could make financial sense. So I'm always going to have a net sheet in front of me with the expenses spelled out before I pick up a call and ask anybody to do anything. Now, if they say no, I don't want to move my price, what are you going to say back? Okay, great. Let's keep another eye on you. But you have to keep asking. It is your job. Your job is, what's the number one thing sellers want? Yeah, usually I ask that differently. I kind of gave it away this time, but a lot of people will say, well, they want good service, they want knowledge, they want expertise, they want school knowledge. None of that matters. What they want is to sell the house. So you better sell the house, no matter what it takes. We're afraid to sometimes do what it takes. Yeah, and you know what? If you earn the right to have these conversations, you've communicated with them, they know everything you've done, they've now started to trust you more. The honeymoon's over, but they still see you working. It's a little more steps than we're used to. Another suggestion on high touch that I'd like to make is the getting to know you form. Anybody familiar with the getting to know you form? Okay, so it asks a lot of silly questions that come in quite handy. What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite book? What's your favorite candy? What's your favorite restaurant? What are your kids' names? That question's not silly, but the other ones are. And what am I going to do with that? I'll give you an example. I listed a home in a community called Winston Trails up in my area. And within the first 3 days, the seller had a very bad experience with a showing. They didn't leave the sliding glass door unlocked, they left it open. Yeah, happens, just know it happens. And so they were very frustrated and kind of angry. And they called me and said, 3 days into this, blah, 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 And so now, most agents would say, well, I'll let you know that certainly wasn't a Keller Williams agent that showed it, that would have done that. And it certainly wasn't me. Now, I don't want you to do that. I want you to take complete responsibility. Say, we're going to make some changes so that this doesn't happen to you again. First thing I'm going to do is go into our showing instructions and make them a lot more clear. I'd like to put a note on the back of your front door to remind realtors to close doors, turn lights off. And I'm also going to call some agents before they go over just to make sure. I only call them if there's an animal. I'm always sometimes worried about those animals. All right, so then I'm going to send a personal note, but in between that, I'm going to pull out my records and look to see how they filled the form out on getting to know you. And I'll say, for instance, in this gentleman, he liked Milky Way candy bars, which, by the way, does anybody like those?
Me.
Oh,
Oh my God, they're so good.
if that was the only Halloween candy out there, I'd be fine. It's the Reese's that get me. All right, so I'm going to have somebody deliver on a silver tray a king-size Milky Way bar. What do you think that costs me? $2. Sometimes I ask their favorite beverage, and it's a, bye, chef. It's a Diet Coke I deliver. It's so silly. If they have dogs, it could be some dog biscuits if something happened with the dog. I am going to have it delivered. If I don't have a courier, I'm going to ask somebody around me to do it for me. I don't want to do this myself. And the next thing you know is they're starting to laugh and they're getting that you're going to do things above and beyond. So these are some interesting high-tech, high-touch ideas. I want to finish by talking the 5 stages of loss, because right now I want you to know our sellers are feeling a loss. And so people know the 5 stages of loss mostly as the 5 stages of grief, but it's actually happening to us right now. You probably don't know. It's happening to our industry. So the first thing on the 5 stages is denial. So this is when a seller is not admitting that the market has changed. You're going to find this instantly with the condo market, and even more so with pricing points. Actually, every price point. Every price point. Things are different now. By the way, are buyers feeling a loss? Yes. Why? Yes, that's right. Okay, so you're going to hear, well, my neighbor has just sold for X amount of dollars. Now, when we're doing market analysis right now on our properties, what are you paying more attention to? Actives, pending, solds, or expireds? Anybody who says actives, raise your hand. Okay, great. Pendings? Yes. Solds? Yes. Okay, in my opinion, it is the actives. And that's changed for us. So a lot of the properties that agents are bringing to us to help us price them, they've all priced them on a few sold, which, by the way, went pending 60 days ago, 30 days ago. It matters. It sold 30 days ago. It pended 30 days before that. Now you're looking at a 2.5-month-old property. It doesn't count as much. It's a guide. But who's the competition? That's the question. So sellers will be in denial about that. We have to slow down. We have to realize our appointments are going to be a little bit longer. It's not rush in, rush out. It's not send anything by DocuSign. You're going to have some charts that Richard and Scott showed you. You're going to have ammunition or tools, and you're going to take your time and help them understand. They might still be in denial, so our job is to get them out of denial as we start to service and help experience the listing. The next one that they come across, anybody know the next stage of loss? Anger. Yeah, anger. And who are they angry at? It could be you, it could be the realtor that just showed the property, that did knock some rocks out of their garden by accident. They're angry at it. Anger is hard. But I want you to think to yourself, when a seller calls you with anger, let them talk, get it out, because this is good. They have removed themselves from denial. This is a good sign. Just, I understand. Those are your magic words. I understand how you feel. I have other sellers that feel the same way. Don't let them think that they're the only ones thinking this. All right, so anger, unfortunately, anger does always come with the 5 stages. Fortunately, it doesn't last as long as denial and some of the others. Now, the next one is bargaining. What do you suppose bargaining sounds like coming from a seller? Especially if I'm asking for a slight price adjustment.
Can't we market a little bit more?
Can't we market a little more? Now we've gone back up to denial, and I like that because sometimes you can go 1, 2, back up. That would be a sign, oh, we've gone back to denial. We won't stay as long this time. But your guys is right. If I have to adjust my price, can you adjust yours?
Yep.
Now, what's a great response to that?
No.
That's a nice script. So I would say, I'm asked that all the time. But remember, you're a priority to me, and I just need to get your property sold. So let's look at some numbers. I am not doing that. You guys throw way too much money at stuff. Don't throw money. It never helps. They don't ever walk away happier at the closing. In fact, they'll recommend you less. They don't see you as strong and valuable. All right. So bargaining, yes, if I have to adjust my price, will you too? It's a very common question. By the way, was that me? No. By the way, it's a good question because now we know what? Oh, we're in bargaining. Finally, out of that anger stage. So just answer the question and move on. Now, the next one is the hardest in my opinion. It's sadness. This is when they don't return your calls so much. They're starting to turn down some showings on the weekends. They're not cleaning the house as much. They're frustrated. Now, again, we could get mad at sadness, but we could also say, oh my gosh, we're almost done with the 5 steps. And so I'm just going to be as serviceable as I always have been. I might even send in a little note that says, hang in there. The last one, of course, is acceptance. Now, we need to help our people move through these 5 stages quicker than they want to. Otherwise, we are not listing our properties and getting them sold quick enough. And the pricing is dropping, and now we're chasing the market, which we did not do the sellers any favor. So I might help them get through the stages by saying, hey, let's start with denial. I know that this is a different market. A lot of our sellers just can't believe what's happening now. And, they even can get angry about it once they've figured out that they've lost a little bit of money because they didn't list 3 years ago. So I just personally move them from denial to anger, and I'm moving them on down. I'm not waiting for them to do it. It's a skill. Any questions on that? Or do you want to wait till the end? And I don't know my time because I lost my timer guy. One more thing I want to talk about if I have time. That's pricing to begin with. And I know that you just went through a lot of pricing charts. I kind of want to simplify things for you. You have to learn how to price on the bubble, on a bracket. Most of our price ranges are $25,000. As you get up to luxury, it could be a little bit wider. If you get to $200 and below, it could be a little bit less. But just let's talk for the sake of pricing in $25,000 increments. The days where we list properties for $499, $999 are over. I like you. So what should I have priced that at? 500 even. It blows my mind when agents don't realize this, because today there are no multiple listing books. Do you guys even know what that is? We used to be able to look at the 400s and turn the page and it would increase. And so if we were looking, let's say we were looking for something in the price range of $475 and I turned the page and I saw, oh, here's a $499 and it has everything my buyers are looking for, I think I'll decide to show it. But today it doesn't work like that. Whether you're a real estate agent professionally or a buyer, you are starting your search on the internet and you have to be aware of that. So you need to put in a price range of some sort of an increment. If we're going to price something at $500,000 and 11 days goes by and 11 showings, whatever happens first, and now it's time to reset the price, reposition them in the marketplace, what price am I going for? If you don't get it down to the next range, you've wasted your time and, more importantly, your seller's time. We now need to get you in a whole nother price range so that a lot of realtors with their buyers that haven't been here will come. By the way, that doesn't mean we're going to settle for $475 or less. You might be surprised at the outcome. But we, at this point, don't have a choice. I want to get your house sold. You're a priority to me, and I'm going to recommend that we price your home at $475, and if we sell it at around there, here's what you'll end up with.
Jackie, will you go over your different pricing brackets for us, please?
So if it's 200,000 or under, which are some of these little condos, I don't know if you guys have that price point. You know, I'm from Boynton Beach, and so we have some $150,000 condos. I would probably do those in 10,000 increments. But I'm still going to go at 200, and then if I have to reduce that price, I'm not going to go to 150. I'm just going to reduce it by 10. When you get up to 750 and over, you might want to increase your increments a little bit. Maybe, yes, to 50. Maybe 25,000 is still good. I guess I just want us to learn to be more professional than emotional and have the conversations even though they're tough. Brian Tracy, I believe, wrote a book called Eat the Frog. At one point, Keller Williams, we were all walking around with frogs on our necklace. I'm glad that's over. But what that whole book says, if you have something to do it first in the morning if it's something you don't like to do. So Tuesday mornings were always our price adjustment feedback days. Okay, let me see. What else should I talk about? Do I have more time? 10 minutes. Do you guys have any questions? Do you want to talk or do you want me to keep talking? Yes, sir.
So for a lot of the folks in here that may have heard this for the first time from you, Jackie, one of the first things you said was the word system. And so how important is it, yes, the details of everything you shared were gospel and like textbook, awesome.
It's about the legacy, yeah.
And yet, everything is a system. You do the same thing
Right.
every time for every seller, and it just becomes this machine. So if you could talk a little bit about that importance.
Well, here's an example. So Lee is saying, you know, what do I mean by a system? If I like the communication journal idea, or you may have another idea that's a little bit touchy, not so techy, if I like that idea, I'm not going to go to Office Depot today and buy one journal. I'm going to buy 10 or 15, because I know in the next 2 months I'm going to get 10 or 15 listings, and I'm going to do one cover page and have them all ready. I might go ahead and do the research on some showing tips and staging tips right now so that I can include it in my journal. And then I know I have a timeline that within 2 days after listing, they receive the journal. Actually, usually when we meet the photographer at the property is when we hand deliver the journal. And we sometimes just set it right on their counter. I know it's different. I know they like it. Even if they throw it in a drawer, I know it made a difference. You would be surprised how many of them actually bring it to closing. So that's what I mean about a system. Calling your sellers every Tuesday is a system. We used to call our pendings on Fridays. Now, I want to go back to plant the seed, and if anybody else has a question, you'll be thinking of it. But sometimes one of the magic things you can do when you're planting that seed, remember we're calling our sellers on Tuesday. And we say, we're going to keep a close eye on you this weekend. But sometimes I'll pick up the phone and call them back on a Thursday and say, you know, I couldn't stop thinking about you. I don't think we should waste another weekend. And I know for a fact that agents that start to line up their showings for the weekend start by searching Friday mornings. I would like to get a price adjustment or reposition you by tomorrow morning so that we're in that new bracket right away. Now, I just said that I exceeded the expectation of calling them Tuesday. Does that make sense? And now they're really feeling like, oh my gosh, we are important to her. She's not going to sleep well over the weekend knowing that we didn't do this. By the way, that's creating urgency, which is a skill. Okay.
And so what you were saying about creating systems are not necessarily written in stone. Okay? A system is something that you are doing or going to do more than once. You want to put a system into place. Now, where do you do it? You do it in your calendar. Command is a great place to do it, in your CRM, your data, whatever you use for your database. Everything is scheduled. You start an action plan. You take a listing. Day 1, you're going to do this, and this. Day 2, you're going to do this, and this. and it goes all the way through to closing. Now, you might not get to all of that, because hopefully you're going to get it closed really soon, and you can forget a couple of things. Your system is that every Tuesday you're going to call everybody, you're going to give them feedback, you're going to ask for price reductions. Like you said, it might be on Thursday because something happened. Don't worry about changing or breaking your system, but don't ever get away from doing your system, because once you do, it's really difficult to go back and start reinstituting those systems.
And earning the right to ask the difficult questions. An example of that, Richard, is like, let's say I have a photographer I'm going to take photos of. Every listing we need photos, yes? Am I going to hire the same photographer for a luxury as I do for a $150,000 condo? So even though it says hire the photographer, schedule the photographer, it doesn't mean I'm doing the exact same thing every time, but it is the smart plans are nothing other than an assistant for you to tell you, oh my gosh, you got to do this. Oh my gosh, it's time for that. That's what they're so beautiful. And by the way, do you have to slow down to set up a smart plan?
Yes.
Yeah, so slow down. This is my timer coming. No. Slow down. I feel the cane. So slow down and create a system. Whenever you dedicate time to creating something, what are you going to end up with more of? Right. It's an investment of time to get more time back. Okay.
Well, and the one thing that I wanted to add to that is think about it like this. Why do people go to Disney? Because they have a great experience, right? Is that experience just something that Disney wakes up, or the group of people wake up that morning and think, well, I'm just going to try something different today? No, they do the same thing every single day. It doesn't matter if you go to Disneyland in California or Walt Disney World here in Florida or Disney in Shanghai, China. You're going to have a very similar experience because they've created something that's replicatable and duplicatable every single place. Now, going back to what Jackie's talking about, if you want to get referrals, you get really good at creating an experience that you can replicate every single time, so that when your client says to another person, hey, Jackie did this for me, they can expect that Jackie's going to do that for them too. And then that just keeps building the experience, and they start sharing that, so that every single time each one of your clients is having a very similar experience. And it's not just, oh, Jackie decided to do this today, and with this listing she decided to do this, and with this one she decided to do this, and you're just all over the place.
And you're calling this one every
Exactly.
week and not that one because you don't like them.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Disney thing. Did I lose something here?
You're good.
All right. Hello? All right. I want to talk about the Disney thing. What is the number one priority that every Disney employee knows about? What's their priority? Customer service. Anybody else have anything else? Okay. Every single employee. I think I broke you. Okay. Every single employee at Disney, no matter which country or location, knows the number one priority for every guest is safety. Mm-hmm. So if you try to go too far up a line and you're they will push you back. And that's not a great experience. No. But safety is their number one priority at no cost. Whatever it costs, they will make sure their guests are safe. So I'd like you to have that mentality while you realize that your number one priority is to get it sold. None of that other stuff. They hired you to sell it. Period. Yes?
All right, we have time for one question. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Go ahead. Yes.
Thank you, Jackie, for being here. I would love to incorporate the communication journal. By any chance, if you do you have a smart plan in place that we could snag on command?
Well, I don't, could I get you one? Yes. However, I'm not in production anymore, but I still have my old stuff. So, yeah. Could get that for you.
We'll
Him?
Just send it to me. I'll get it to you. Because that was the question, we have time for one more then. Yes.
My question is the 11 days, 11 showings. So if you've done your supply and demand and you've done your research and you know that you're priced well and you're going to be on the market, supply and demand is showing, it could take 3 months. How does the 11 days, 11 showings? The 11 showings I understand, but the 11 days you said whichever comes first.
Listen, time is your enemy. It's not your friend. Nothing should ever be on the market for 3 months. That's just us not responding. I mean, if it's priced well, it will sell. I don't care if it's a condo or a thing or a thing or a thing.
Jen, don't be so attached to where you think it's priced correct. The market, the buyers will tell you if it's priced correct. You can look at every statistic there is, and if you are not getting showings quickly, never mind getting offers, if you're not getting showings, the other realtors out there who are looking at it on the MLS are saying, no, there are better things out there that I'm going to show my clients. If you're getting showings and no offers, it's the buyers who are saying, no, I've looked at other things that are better than this. You can be 100% convinced that you've priced it properly according to the stats. The other agents and the buyers are telling you you're wrong.
Yeah.
And you've got to be open enough to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, you can always go in and tweak your multiple listing, make sure everything's entered correctly. It could be something off in there, an area number or something. You know, you're going to check that first. When we enter a listing, we do searches 3 ways to make sure it comes up right. So we're maybe not doing enough of that either. It's more work now for sure. Yeah. More money, more work.
Give it up for Jackie.
Thank you.
And yes. Yeah, raise your hand if you're going to be joining us for our business planning clinic tomorrow in the Fort Lauderdale office. Okay, perfect. And then where do we go to get stats now? onwardflorida.com/stats. onwardflorida.com/stats. The password is all lowercase focus 2025. Focus 2025. I'm so grateful for every single one of you who chose to grow by pouring into yourself and being here today. Have an amazing one and go out and take more listings. We'll see y'all later.